We're here at Tampa Float's Wellness Center in North Tampa, Florida, where they utilize sensory deprivation chambers for an all-natural, holistic approach to treating pain and stress. Here to tell us more about this form of therapy is co-owner Will Dietrich. Thank you for having us, Will.
Happy to have you guys.
Being athletes, Will and his friend were unhappy with current available methods for post-workout recovery, so they set out to find an alternative.
I'm an athlete, so I've always kind of just wanted the upper edge on any kind of recovery I could find.
Will felt this method of therapy not only held physical benefits, but also provided a chance for the mind to relax and reset.
Having this solitude is just amazing, just to escape and give your mind a quick reset.
During float therapy, a person is immersed in 10 inches of water with roughly 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt, which makes the body buoyant, simulating the feeling of weightlessness.
Tampa Floats has 2 sensory deprivation float pods, which are fully enclosed. For those who may be claustrophobic or larger in body size, they have an open float pool. The infrared sauna is also offered for post-float relaxation.
While you're floating there, the magnesium sulfate from the Epsom salt is just going to slowly absorb through the skin and kind of relax any of the muscles that you might have. And then the weightlessness also is great for just decompressing the back, spine, shoulders, neck, things like that. So you're kind of getting a full physical recovery.
And the whole concept really is that, as Kimberly said in the intro, it's like sensory deprivation.
We don't want you to have any stimuli, and if you don't like the lid, then we have another room for you that you can try out, which has infrared heaters above you just to keep you right at that perfect body temperature. And we can customize that for anybody that comes in here. The goal is to lose track of the water.
Being suspended in pitch black, completely silent chamber deprives the mind of 3 out of 5 senses.
Taking away all the light, sound, things like that really gives people a custom experience. It's the closest we can find to floating around in space.
We speak with Justin, who is a frequent floater.
I'm always looking for different outlets, so I decided to try floating. I had heard about it as a good relaxation technique.
A typical float session is 60 minutes, although they can range from 30 to 120 minutes, depending on an individual's preferences.
A first-time guest will be given a brief orientation, where they receive a full rundown of how the process works and what to expect.
Once you're in the room, you have your own private room with a shower, towels, everything that you could need.
Special earplugs and towels are also provided. Once you are fully rinsed and have applied the ear protection, you enter the pod, extinguish the lights, and enjoy the mental disconnect for a while.
You'll come back out. We have a relaxation room for you to just kind of continue to unwind. We don't want to rush you back out to society. There's no need to go back out into crazy Tampa traffic or anything like that. It's nice to have a little bit of extra time to just gather yourself before you go out to the real world.
The float sessions typically take place in a closed pod. However, Tampa Floats offers an alternative for those who are anxious about small spaces.
Claustrophobia kind of scared off some people, so it was really nice to have this other option where people would come in and see it, and they'd also kind of catch a glimpse of the float pod as well on the way into the float room, and I think that attracted them. Oh, it's a lot bigger when you see them in person, and we get a lot of people that go from the open float pool into the float pod the next time.
If you're afraid or claustrophobic, there's the open float room. If you're afraid of, being in a pod, you can leave the pod door open your first time.
The pools are equipped with a top-of-the-line filtration system, which utilizes UV light to sterilize the water. Routine cleaning is also performed. It's very difficult for any organisms to live in 1,000 pounds of salt. In fact, there's 10% more salt in these pools than there is in the Dead Sea.
For those who want to ease themselves gradually into the deprivation experience, guests have complete control over the lighting and can relax in a warm glow or be immersed in complete darkness.
It does take you a moment to just adapt and get used to this very different environment. After a few minutes, you kind of just realize there's nothing to be afraid of here. You're just kind of floating, relaxing, and that's when the fun starts, when you kind of slowly slip away into that meditative, relaxed state. The relaxation that you're falling into is almost similar to meditation, so it's getting you into this theta state, basically.
While you are inside the pod, your brain can enter deep relaxation known as the theta state. For this reason, if you were to fall asleep in a float pod, an hour of sleep is equivalent to 4 hours of normal REM sleep. Well, there's always a concern that someone can drown in just a teeny bit of water. What are some of the precautions, or why isn't that necessarily a factor with these float pods?
Well, with that 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt, it keeps you very buoyant. Because of the high concentration of salt, getting it near the eyes is very irritating. So if you were to happen to roll over, you would be startled very quickly. And we also have, in the worst case scenario, some emergency buttons inside the rooms.
You're not going to drown.
Yeah,
Right,
you're going to
right.
be completely all right. Basically, it's about 1 hour of sleep is equivalent to around 4 hours REM sleep.
So an hour of sleeping in the pod is
Yeah,
equal to 4 hours
exactly.
in bed.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so those with insomnia issues and things like that, or finding even just a little bit of rest inside the pod can do wonders for them.
You know, every float is different. My experience with floating has differed depending on how I'm feeling that particular day. Sometimes you're kind of between a waking and sleeping stage. Other times, if I'm really tired and I've had a really long week at work, I may just after 10 minutes or what seems like 10 minutes just go to sleep. And I wake up when the float is over.
Well, everyone, you already said, has a different experience. The common denominator is the pod and the float therapy. Talk a little bit about people's different experiences, and you specifically mentioned people that sort of relive childhood memories and things like that.
Yeah, it's incredible to see everybody that comes out of here with different stories.
And it said that pregnant women can basically, they have something called body mirroring. Have you heard of that at all? It's basically where the woman, because she's floating, feels like
An extra connection, almost. Yeah, we have heard some stories of that. And we've had a client before leave us a nice review that kind of gave us an insight to what that experience might be like for a pregnant mother-to-be. So it is kind of neat how the spiritual side, the mental side, the physical side, you kind of get a little bit of everything in it. I think each of us could take a little bit more time for ourselves to kind of deal with some of the things that we have going on in our life now and in the past. And this gives you the perfect opportunity to kind of have some time for yourself.
By maintaining regular visits, people have reported that they've been able to reduce their anti-anxiety medications.
We've had people that come in here very high-wired, intense people that come out to our relaxation area and have literally told me that they've been living their life a little bit too fast. And this was the first time they slowed down and they felt like now they needed to change their life a little bit.
Tampa Floats maintains a journal allowing clients to share their experiences, which can help a new apprehensive guest ease their mind.
And we like to glance through it every once in a while just to, it's quite rewarding, honestly, to be in and helping people in that regard.
Tampa Floats is decorated with chalk walls where people are free to create artwork after their sessions.
It is one of those things where I think that the float industry as a whole is really finding ways to help as many people as possible.
For more information, you can contact tampafloats.com.
Just give us a call, or simplest is, of course, just go online and look up Tampa Floats, www.tampafloats.com. Simple it could be to make a booking anytime you're ready to come try it out. Are you guys ready to try it?
I am.
Let's go.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
I chose to use the bigger pool.
It's nice and warm. Extremely relaxing beyond words. I mean, you can't even describe how much you start to get into your own head, and it takes a while, but once you do, you really do feel weightless, and it's so unbelievably relaxing. That was quite interesting.
I chose to try the enclosed pod. Being in with your thoughts, you start to feel like you can see some light. It would just kind of jump to maybe feeling like you were in space a little bit, kind of seeing planets.
In our crazy, hectic world, we all need time to disconnect and decompress. And Tampa Floats has shown us a wonderful, natural way to refresh not only our body, but our mind and spirit as well.